my name is Asyam, and today I want to talk about my mental health journey. And all I can say is that when I was a child and teenager, I used to be a crybaby, and I used to cry a lot, and it's very easy to make me cry. When I talk about certain things that I'm vulnerable about, I start crying. And actually my family members know that if they offend me or they're being rude to me, I will definitely be crying. It's just the way my character is. And usually in my life, if I am sad, it's usually because of three people. My parents and the person I fell in love with. They're usually the only people I cry about, because nothing else. Like in school, I used to cry about like my grades and teachers, but it wasn't such a big deal. So these three people usually were the reason of all of my stress, sadness, anxiety, and just I don't know why, but these three people are actually people I love the most. I love, like, it's a vulnerable topic. So I think my friend, my ex best friend, said to me that if you don't remember your childhood, that means that you had trauma, and your brain just decided to forget some chunk of some period of your life. And I was very skeptical about it. But there was a task in like Radical Life book to kind of draw the timeline of your life and actually write down the major situations that happen in your life. And the scary thing is that I cannot remember at what age something happened, and I do not remember like 90% of my childhood. My memory is very bad, and I just have no idea when something happened. Was I 13? Was I 9? Was I 15? I have no idea. I mean, it's weird. But I remember that I was just so angry at my parents. When they made me sad, when they made me angry, I was just so full of resentment, hatred. There's just a lot of negative emotions. And the reason why I want to talk about it and I want to share with you, like, at my most vulnerable moments is that, first of all, some people will not feel alone, because I think that people cannot avoid sadness, people cannot avoid pain, people cannot avoid heartbreak. But the thing that I actually wanted to talk about is view on that from radical forgiveness point. If you will look at my YouTube channel, I have a playlist called Radical Life, so you can check it out, because it's it is life-changing, healing, eye-opening experience. So what I want to say is that if you struggle with your mental health, it does not mean that something is wrong with you. It is definitely an experience that you as a soul wanted to experience and chose to experience. You need to gather a certain amount of pain to kind of expand in love. And Colin Tipping talks about it in his books. He has like 8 books about this philosophy. I read like 2 of them, and I'm like halfway on the third one, so it's like I fell in love with it. They're like my favorite books of all time. So from that philosophy, it's first of all, like let me explain you. Let me explain to you. If you feel this negative emotions, anger, just unfairness of life, like just like life is tiring, life is exhausting, life is just sometimes like I get it. Like sometimes I don't want to be here. Not because like it's so hard or my life is so fucking hard. No. My life is not hard, but sometimes I just don't want to be here. Like it's overwhelming, painful. Like every person I think can understand me. Like sometimes life is just not the thing that you want to experience. And you know what? It's definitely the purpose of us being here, to experience the pain in its fullness and to understand that behind this pain there's love and wisdom. So you just have to fully experience it, to live through it, to accept it. Do not try to be like positive about it. Stop thinking about positive thinking. Do not compress your emotions. It's like if you feel anger, you need to express it. You need to beat up the pillow. You need to scream, shout. You need to express the negative emotion in order for it not to be taken in, and it will like, you don't want that. It actually is very unhealthy for your health. So you need to express it out. Then what you need to do, first of all, you need to second of all, you need to use instruments of radical life. For example, 3 letters. In first letter, you just fully, for example, your mother ridiculously offended you. You write in the first letter like everything you wanted to say to her, and don't hold back. Like be rude, be angry, like just like forget about everything and just fully like write your emotions down. Don't send these letters to anyone. After one day, you sit down and you be like, well, maybe you were angry because you were not taught maybe you don't love me enough because you actually were not loved enough. Like you try to make excuses for her, and you try to be rational, and you try to be like, well, maybe you haven't experienced this, and you actually have no resource to give it to me. Like be very like understanding. After one day, you write down a letter. You write down a letter where it's from your highest self, but to write down that letter, you need to know the radical life philosophy. So you need to be like, my soul chose, was in a contract with your soul to kind of help us experience these things and expand in love. So it's like everything is, you can read in his books. So like 3 letters: expression, being like human, rational, like using your rational mind, and then using your highest mind. um First of all this, then checklists of radical forgiveness. There are a lot of types of them. Then you can use, after radical forgiveness, you can use radical self-forgiveness, because sometimes it's easier for us to forgive others than to forgive ourselves. And I totally get it, because I used to always be like, well, I should have been more successful, I should have been kinder, I should have been richer, I should have been, you know, I should have been wiser, smarter, whatever, whatever, whatever. Like, I should have been. It's like my biggest self problem that I didn't forgive my, like, my biggest issue was that I wasn't good enough for myself, because I think that by this time I should have already been there, I should have already had this, I should have already acquired this knowledge. Like, I think every person has experienced that. Also, I think for your mental health, you should know exactly what charges you, what recharges you, and what gives you energy. For example, me, art, eating tasty food, watching comfort movies, watching Disney movies, that recharges me. And I know that by myself, I'm always completely happy. If nobody bothers me, nobody annoys me, nobody gets on my nerves, by myself, I'm fully and completely happy always, because I know what makes me happy. And sometimes I don't understand people who are unhappy, because, like, well, don't you know what makes you happy? Okay,